Hey there, today I'm going to show you guys a complete VR workflow from start to finish with the Insta360 Pro 2. Here we go.
Insta360 Pro 2. This one can shoot 8K 30 frames per second in 3D mode and 8K 60 frames per second in 2D mode. It delivers pretty solid quality for 360 degree or 180 degree VR video. There are also better ones out there such as Titan and some other brands.
And this one's very suitable for small or medium-sized projects. Besides just the camera itself, you also need a lot of accessories to make it fully functional. Now what we can see here is what's included in the box, but we do need some additional accessories.
Magic arm with a clamp, some cable ties, a light stand with a 1/4 screw, then a sandbag, spare antennas, better get another power source, power extension cord, SD card reader, 12 V30 128GB micro SD cards, and 2 128GB SD cards. I strongly recommend to use the exact same cards shown here, because those cards are verified and definitely work without any problems. We had some other cards and they really messed up the entire setup.
And most importantly, sound equipment.
For example, a Tascam D70 recorder paired with Sennheiser Evolution lav mics. Download the Insta360 Pro 2 app.
And now, how to set up. Jetzt geht's richtig los.
For the ground, we should definitely make sure it's level and it won't be easy to move, so try to avoid carpets. Then sandbag it very sturdy. Height-wise, you should try to place it somewhat close, a little bit below under the eyes of our main character. Attach the wireless transmission system. Plug in all the cables. Insert all the cards. It has 6 lenses and 7 cards. Each of the cards correspond to one of the lenses, what it records. And the 7th card will record a little preview file, so it's very handy to quickly check on sets on the computer or VR glasses. On set procedures, first, no matter what, we should format the cards. After formatting the cards, you have to also do a speed test. Without passing the speed test, you won't be able to shoot. Then some calibration, the gyro calibration and stitching calibration. Fan setting. Then we turn off the Wi-Fi. And for connection type, we select DHCP. Turn on the wireless transmitter and the wireless receiver. If the IP is shown and the indicator lights of the receiver show blue, then it's all good. The app will tell you that there are 2 methods to connect to the Insta360 Pro 2. Method B seems to be easier, you just use your phone to connect directly to the camera. But the signal is not really reliable. From our experiences, the method A works way better. But if it doesn't connect, don't worry. Just unplug the micro USB to lightning cable and plug it in again, and then open the app again, and then it should connect. Camera parameter settings. For the recording format, you can choose 3D or 2D. Better use 3D because in post you can still change it to 2D. But if you shoot 2D, you cannot change it back to 3D. For the frame rate, we choose 30 frames per second. Then you can use log or not. In our case, we didn't quite manage to get some good colors out of the iLog, so we went back for just sticking with the Rec 709. For the exposure, I chose auto, but with -0.3. White balance, I leave it in auto, because if you do manual white balance, you won't be able to select very detailed numbers. The filming process. When you hit the record button, you should be right next to the Insta360 Pro 2, and then you leave and try to hide, because it can capture everything, everywhere, and especially if you have some very reflective surfaces inside a room, they can even show people in the next room if the doors are not closed. We roll on the audio recording device and also on the Insta360 Pro 2. Make sure to get your slate ready. We just write directly the audio file name on it. It's easier in post to just directly find out which audio file is related to it. Now, when acting, it's important to let those actors know that there are spots where they are safe to act for a longer period of time. But when they cross the gaps between two lenses, that's going to be difficult, especially in the stitching process. Therefore, they should be only staying there for a very minimum amount of time. They should better just only cross it. When we feel the take is done, we should not hesitate to stop the recording. We should first take our control device, go back to the Insta360 Pro 2. Only next to it, we should press stop recording. This is very important because if you lost your signal and then you stop recording, it might result to some corrupt video files. We also should pay attention to not exceed the 10-minute mark. Otherwise, it might result into some overheating issues. The reason is because it needs to process too much and also because we turn off the fan. Sometimes if you're in a very noisy, crowded environment, it won't matter. Now, if it does overheat though, don't worry. You just unplug the battery and plug in a new one, and then you can just keep shooting. If it shows you some card errors, you also should not panic. Just try to reinsert the cards and see if it works. If not, then just get all the cards out and insert a complete new round of cards. And if you do that, make sure you have to go through the same process again, format the cards and do the speed test. When checking the playback, I also like to use this view. With this, I can go through 360 degree and check all the details, especially on the gaps. Now, when you see a take that is really well done, definitely quickly write down the video file number and the corresponding audio file number. Because in post, you don't want to stitch all of the files, it's going to take forever. You only want to stitch the good takes.
And now some very useful tips when handling with the Insta360 Pro 2.
Now, during a lunch break, it's a very good chance to quickly charge up the wireless transmitter and receiver, because those two actually take a lot of power. During rehearsals, it's also good to use an external power source to power the Insta360 Pro 2, so you're not draining the batteries that are plugged into it. On the ground, you can also do some markings. If someone accidentally bumped into the setup, you won't have to recheck your position. If you're missing a little bit key light for your actor, you could actually hide one Q-line LED light right on the light stand to just add a little bit. Then audio-wise, I also recommend to attach one wireless lav mic right on the light stand, so then you have an ambient sound.
And don't forget, always clean your lenses, because they catch dust very easily.
Post-production process.
Und jetzt geht's in die Nachbearbeitung.
First, we should definitely download the Insta360 Pro 2 Stitcher app. Then we should check all the footages that we have imported. Now, they have a very strange folder structure, and we need to make sure to reorganize those. Basically, you want to have for each take a structure like this. We have from each lens the video file 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in the 7th card, there should be the corresponding low-res files for it. Also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but with a RV at the end. Then some additional cache and project files. Those are used for the Insta360 Pro 2 Stitcher app. Now, this is a complete, proper, organized folder structure, and you can repeat that for the other takes. If you want to do it a little bit faster, you can use the merge technique. Now we open up the Stitcher app. If you want to do some more professional stitching, you can use a software called Mistaka, but this one works pretty good for now, and we will show you like this. We import all the footages that have been organized. And then on the right side, we can see these settings. On the upper right, we can select if we want to have it in 3D or 2D. Then we continue with following settings. At the end, we can select the format. For Mac users, the ProRes is the best. And then we want to select the destination where we put the finished stitched files. Once you have added to the queue, you can go for the next one, and so on. And when all is lined up down below, you can go have a rest, and it will take some time. Alright, now we come back. Before we start editing, we definitely should create proxies, because that will make our editing experience way better. Now we can import all the finished stitched files. We select all of them and hit export. We use following settings. Now once lined up in the Adobe Media Encoder, it's gonna take again a lot of time. So we come back later and we open Premiere. First, we want to have a proper sequence setting. Alright, now that's all done, we should select all the original finished stitched files and select attach proxies. We select the ones that we've created. On the upper right project window, we should check the lower right plus icon to add two toggles. One is the proxy toggle, to turn on and off the proxy. Another one is the 360 view toggle. This will make sure that we can check the footage also in 360 view. Now it's time to sync up the sound. We import the audio files and start the syncing manually. Then we can edit. We can edit just like how we used to. But once finished, what we can do is for each take, we add an effect called VR projection. With this one, you can select the primary view angle. This is important because you can kind of guide a little bit the focus for the audience. And of course, we want to sometimes add some text or images, so we can do that very simple just by dragging them onto the timeline. But in addition to that, add an effect called VR plane to sphere. With this one, you can position and also scale. But do note, if you did some mask on it, then you definitely have to first nest it and then add the VR plane to sphere. And what about the light stand that is shown on the ground? For this one, we usually use a logo to cover it, like this. Alright, once it's also all color corrected, all is done, then we hit the export. Following settings are the ones that I recommend. These suit very well for VR glasses such as Skyworth or Oculus Quest. I personally recommend the Skyworth one because this one is targeted just for viewing, and you can simply just export the file onto this microSD card and just plug it in and watch the video right away.
That's it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer all of them. Besides that, I feel this project has gone pretty smoothly and it was also a lot of fun. So all in all, the Insta360 Pro 2 VR camera did a great job, and it also opens up a new way to create, which I really like.